Hey friends, welcome back to Guess What? Compliance Can Be Simple. I'm your host, Dr. Natasha Guess. And if you're new here, welcome. If you've been listening for a while, thank you so much for being a part of this community. Now, this podcast exists because I believe compliance shouldn't be overwhelming. And my goal is to help healthcare leaders make compliance simple, practical, and just part of how their practices runs every single day. Today's episode starts with one simple question. Could this happen in your practice? Now, every week, we're going to look at a real healthcare enforcement action. And it's not to pile on another organization or practice, but to actually understand what happened, what regulators found, and what we can learn before the same thing shows up somewhere else. Because here's the thing. By the time an organization shows up in a DOJ or HHS press release, the chance to prevent it is already gone. So let's get into today's case. Now, earlier this month, the Department of Justice actually announced that Progressive Oncology and Hematology LLC, Maryland physician practice, and its owner agreed to pay $1.4 million to resolve allegations under the False Claims Act. According to DOJ, the practice billed Medicare, Medicaid, and the VA for chemotherapy drugs it actually received at no cost through patient assistance programs. And they also alleged the practice billed as if separate single-use files had been used when medication wastage was shared across patients and billed for drugs that were prescribed but never actually given. Now, I always want to be accurate here. This settlement resolved allegations. There was no determination of liability. But honestly, today isn't really about the legal details. It's about something bigger. When most people read an announcement like this, they zero in on the number, and that's important, $1.45 million. And they figure the lesson is about billing. But as a compliance consultant, that's not where my head goes. I start asking operational questions instead. Because every single claim a practice submits represents a whole chain of decisions. A medication gets ordered, it gets received, it gets stored, it gets administered, and then someone documents it, and eventually it gets billed. Those aren't just billing steps, they're operational processes. And when those processes don't line up consistently, you've got risk building long before a claim ever goes out your door. So here's the question I'd ask every physician practice owner listening right now. How does your practice actually verify that what was purchased, what was administered, what was documented, and what was billed all match up? And it's not because everyone assumes it does, not because nobody's complained, because there's an actual process confirming it. That's the real difference between hoping your compliance holds up and knowing that it does. Trust isn't a system. And I say that because one of the biggest things I hear from practice owners is, I trust my staff. And I know trust absolutely matters, but compliance is never run on trust alone. It runs on verification. Can your leadership actually show that controls exist to catch mistakes before a claim goes out? Is there someone reviewing billing patterns periodically? Do discrepancies get looked into? And can you point to evidence that oversight is happening, not just assume that it is? Those are exactly the questions regulators end up asking. Now, let's talk about the part that doesn't usually make the headlines. When a physician practice becomes the subject of a DOJ announcement, the settlement is not the only cause. Your practice name goes public, patients start asking questions, referral partners start paying closer attention, and then your leadership stops focusing on patient care and starts responding to attorneys, to investigators, to document requests, and to corrective actions. That disruption can drag on a lot longer than the settlement itself. And that's why I always say this. Compliance isn't just about avoiding fines. It's about protecting your practice, protecting your patients, and protecting your staff. Could this happen in your practice? Maybe not this exact scenario, but every healthcare practice has blind spots somewhere. The real question is whether you found yours before someone else does. And if regulators walked in tomorrow and asked you to show them how you verify your billing process, could you actually show them? Not explain it. Show it. Documented procedures, evidence of oversight, regular monitoring. Or would the answer just be, that's how we've always done it? Sit with that question. And here's what I want you to do this week. Pick one high-risk workflow in your practice. Maybe it's medication billing. Maybe it's injections. Maybe it's lab services. Or maybe it's authorizations or patient access. Now ask yourself this question. What evidence do we have that this process is actually being monitored, not just performed? If you can answer that with confidence, you've probably just found your next compliance priority. If today's episode changed how you're thinking about compliance, I'd love for you to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with another healthcare leader. And if you're wondering whether your own practice has operational compliance gaps, the Compliance Confident Assessment tool was built to help you find them before they turn into audit findings or enforcement actions or costly disruptions. You'll get a personalized compliance risk score and a detailed action plan to help you strengthen your compliance operations before regulators find the gaps for you. You'll find the link in the show notes. Remember, what regulators find tomorrow is usually decided by the operational choices leaders make today. Keep it simple, stay compliant, and protect your patients. I'm Dr. Natasha Guess, and thank you for listening to Guess What? Compliance Can Be Simple. I'll see you next week.